Welcome to the Can We Talk About It podcast.
I'm Jude,
And I'm Tori.
and this podcast is about us having open, honest dialogue about stuff that we've been dealing with in our lives, especially as two young girls in our 20s.
Some conversations will be heavier than others. Some may be funny, sad, or even triggering.
This is an open playground where we can talk about anything. Hence the title, Can We Talk About It?
So let's get talking.
We are family. I got all my sisters with me. That's the song.
Oh, that's it? I was waiting for more.
Well, I mean, there's like a whole chorus, but I mean, I'm not gonna sing it. Plus, to be honest, that's the only part I know is the "We Are Family." I got all my sisters with me. That's the only part of the song that I know.
Dude, no, I was like bopping my head. I was waiting for you to keep singing.
Yeah,
I was like, oh yeah, this song.
Yeah, I know, but that's all I got today. So anyway,
Oh, darn, okay.
I know. So welcome back, everyone. This is episode 8. I got it right this time.
Yes, I didn't even know it was episode 8, so that's good.
See, now you're behind. You're slacking. So
It's because it's not my episode this time, so I
You're
don't have
right.
it down pat.
You're right. It is my episode this week. I'm leading the charge. So today we are talking about siblings. And I think it's important to note that both Jude and I, not only do we have siblings, but we both have brothers,
Yes.
which is interesting. None of us have any sisters. So this is going to be a kind of a one-sided conversation because we don't know what it's like to have a relationship with a sister.
Right.
But it's okay, because having a relationship with a brother who is the opposite sex of you, I think, still has a lot of compelling facets to it.
And I think it's also a bit more complicated in a sense, to an extent.
Oh.
Maybe that's just my personal opinion, because I've only had brothers, but
Right. I mean, I suppose...
I feel like...
Go ahead.
I feel like potentially, like, if you have sisters, you can relate to them more easily, so...
Yeah. Right. I mean, like, I have cousins, like female cousins, and the dynamic
Right.
between us is... Because, like, I pretty much grew up with them, and so, like, I look at them as my sisters more than anything, and one of my cousins has 2 daughters, and so they call me Aunt Tori, even though I'm technically their cousin, too. So... I think it's interesting, like, I guess, and even I have close friends that I'm like, oh, this is my sister type kind of thing, but I guess it's different if you're living in the same house and that kind of thing. So I guess having a sister is different. And I suppose having a brother is a little bit more complicated because they are the opposite sex of you. So at least if you have a sister, you can kind of gauge how they're going to respond to certain things.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm
But
just...
guys are weird.
Right, exactly. So I have 2 different articles that we can get into later on in the episode. But first, it is the weekly report.
Weekly report. Okay.
Tell us how your week went.
Oh, God. Don't call me Judas.
Sorry. We haven't talked to each other in a week. What can I say?
Well, my piece got into SPN,
Good.
the Student Performance Night. The piece that I'm choreographing. So I'll be performing that in November.
That's very good.
And then I have another... Yeah, I've been going to rehearsals for my friend's choreographic project. So that's a different... Like, it's a class called Choreographic Project. And she's doing a choreographic project. So she has a performance the week after my performance in November. So I've been going to rehearsals for that. And then I've also been going to rehearsals for the faculty piece, which is like about mid-December. I'll be performing. But other than that, I just had a test today in anatomy. It was really crappy. I did not do well, but that's okay. Life moves on.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, but I've been really irritable this past week. I keep saying it's because it's werewolf season.
Werewolf season.
Yeah,
Okay. Go on.
because it's that time of the month.
Oh, like Halloween,
And werewolves
like fall or whatever.
No, because werewolves only change once a month.
Oh, is it time for the full moon this month?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that full moon happened already.
No,
Oh, well. Lies you tell.
not for me.
Not for you. Okay.
I hope you understand what I'm saying right now.
I don't, but you know what? I'm gonna let you have it.
You don't?
No.
I'm on my period, man.
Oh. You should have said, like, my friend is visiting me or something, because werewolf in that does not equate.
It does, because werewolves transform once a month, and I said I've been really irritable this past week.
Okay, but I'm thinking,
And, you know,
you're
like in the Okay, but you know, like in the Vampire Diaries, like they get all aggressive and shit, like when they turn into werewolves. So I'm like, dude, it's werewolf season.
Oh, speaking of, you know how, like, on that show, in order to activate your werewolfism, you have to kill someone? Imagine if you're a girl
Yeah.
and you're already, like, aggressive already because that werewolf trait kind of makes you even more irritable. Imagine you're a girl on your period and you're about to werewolf someone out. Dude, that's crazy. I feel like people will be turning into werewolves every month.
I mean, that's the point. People turn into werewolves every month.
That's funny.
So.
Speaking of, on a side note, well, it's not really a side note because it's my weekly report too. My friend, one of my best friends is actually watching the Vampire Diaries, and her mind is blown on every episode.
Ooh. Yes.
She hasn't even met Klaus yet, so.
I mean, oh god. No, I prefer the originals, but Vampire Diaries isn't too bad.
So, but yeah, other than that,
Yeah.
your week was well.
Yeah, it's been pretty okay.
It's been a pretty
average
mediocre week.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, like, because I've been really irritable. I've also been, like, on and off crying just for no reason.
Nice.
Like, I went to a popping session, and I was, like, my hits were off timing. Like, I was anticipating the beats too much, so I kept hitting too early. My mentor told me to, like, say pop every time, like, I pop to help me get back on beat, because I'd be vocalizing it, you know, like, going, like, boom, pop, boom, pop, like, instead of just like doing it, because then I was like just letting my body go crazy. And I just like got super upset because I didn't want to. I was like, I feel awkward saying it out loud, I don't want to. And then like I almost started crying over that. It was absolutely ridiculous. I was like, why am I getting so emotional and so defensive over something so stupid? So it was just like stupid stuff like that all week. It's been ridiculous.
Right. See, I was gonna say maybe you're pregnant, but
Yeah.
you had your period, so.
Yeah, no, I'm at the end tail of it, so
Right.
it's yeah, but it's just like, also, I don't know, like I had rehearsal on Monday, and at rehearsal I was just like getting really down on myself. Like it was bad. Like I just got super upset, like, and I went home crying because I was like, I suck, like I have nothing of value to contribute, like all this other stuff. I was like, damn girl, chill out.
I understand.
But
Well, I hope your week.
I just blame the hormones.
All right. I hope your week gets better next time.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I feel better now. Like today and yesterday has been a little bit better. So
That's very good. It's very good.
yeah.
My week, this particular week in Houston, or last week technically, we had a flood because Hurricane Imelda decided to, well, it was a tropical storm, Imelda, decided to, come and bless us with her presence. And so we flooded, we lost power, we were screaming. I'm kidding. We were fine, to be fair.
We were screaming.
Like where I was, the water was only up to like my ankle. And then where one of my friends was, the water was like up to her knees. And my friend is almost 6 feet tall, so you can only imagine how much that water is compared to like, because if she's almost 6 feet and it's up to her knee already, that's pretty deep. So
Damn.
yeah, it's pretty deep.
Yeah.
So it was almost to her knee. So we lost power for like a minute or two. And even though a minute doesn't seem like a long time, like it does, because you're thinking, oh, hell, I can't open the refrigerator because if I let all the cold out, that kind of thing. I don't have anything charged, whatever. And we didn't really know this hurricane or tropical storm was coming. It kind of just came out of nowhere. And, with the other hurricane that came through Florida, they had like months and weeks to prepare. And we had like 3 hours to prepare. So it kind of just came out of nowhere. But we're perfectly fine. And we haven't really had a flood. Well, I shouldn't say that because Hurricane Harvey happened, last year or the year before, but like a really bad tropical storm, because we've had multiple hurricanes in Houston, but we haven't really had a bad tropical storm in a really, really long time. And I haven't experienced that bad of a flooding by where my house is in Houston since 2001. So, and that was Tropical Storm Alice. So it's been a long time. I mean, obviously, like I said, the city has flooded before from hurricanes and other tropical storms, but as far as my area, we haven't had a flood that bad in a while. So
Yeah.
But other than that, I've been doing the same thing I always do. Go to Barnes and Noble, go to the gym. I'm starting to look a lot better. I'm starting to tone down. I'm not eating as much. So your girl's getting hot.
That's awesome.
Right.
I can't wait till I see you next. I bet you're going to be like, boom, pow, I'm ready to beat some fellas up because I'm so fit, yo.
Right. I'm gonna be so thin. You're gonna like sneeze and I'm gonna blow away.
Oh, no, that's not good.
Yeah.
You gotta be like full of muscle. So I was like, because I was on the elevator the other day and I was like, guys, I weigh at least 1,000 pounds, but it's pure muscle.
Right. Right.
So that's what you gotta be. You gotta be like 1,000 pounds of pure muscle packed into a tiny body.
Right. Right. So
You can lift cars.
right, just like hulks out and throws a car over the.
Exactly.
Oh
Exactly.
my goodness. So
Yeah, no, that hurricane stuff sounds crazy though. I've never had any kind of weather like that, like living in southern Missouri.
right.
Like I've had like tornado warnings.
Yeah, I was about to
and
say
ice
that's
storms,
straight
but
up
that's
tornado
about it.
alley. So yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't had any tropical like storms
Right.
before.
I've had like
So.
I've gone through some. I mean, I don't want to call it severe, but I mean, severe sounds like such a severe word. But I mean, I guess have been through some crazy weather this year because earlier this year in Chicago we had the solar vortex or
Vortex.
whatever.
Yeah.
The polar vortex. What did I say? Solar vortex.
Yeah.
Polar vortex.
The polar
and it was
vortex.
like -22.
Yeah.
I actually have a.
Did you go outside during that?
No, and I wanted to so bad just so I can know what -20 something feels like.
Me too.
Like,
Yeah, I didn't go outside, but I so wanted
right.
to.
And my roommate I had at the time, she went to Dunkin' because the Dunkin' was just right downstairs.
Right.
And she went outside and she had flip flops on, and I was like, "Girl, what the fuck?" But she only went to Dunkin', which is literally a 2-step, takes you 2 steps to get there. So, but yeah, I wanted to
Yeah.
experience it. But yeah, it was -20. I have a photo of me like laying in my bed with like the Snapchat, temperature thing, and it's -20, and I'm like, "Kill me now." And then just living in Houston, in Texas during the summer is the god awful worst. It was like 109 not too long ago. So that was fun. And then now we were
Yeah.
underwater. And then
You got some crazy weather.
no, bro, it's just this is what happens when you are me. You just get hit with bad weather, I guess. Right? You just bring the bad weather with you. I'm convinced because I'm convinced. But let's jump into this episode. We've been talking for like 10 minutes about nothing.
It's fine.
Right, it's fine. So, like I mentioned earlier at the top of the episode, both Jude and I have siblings and we have brothers. But the difference is that she's got 2 brothers. I only have 1, but her brothers are all younger and mine is older. So that's kind of 2 different.
I have 3 brothers.
Wait, hold the phone. When did you get another brother?
When did I get another brother? I have a step brother. I have a brother that's like has same dad and mom as me, and then I have a half brother
Yeah, I
who
know
has the
about
same mom
those
but a
2, but I
different
didn't know
dad.
about the stepbrother.
Yeah, I don't talk to him that often, but like he's similar. He's a little bit older than my the brother who is the oldest out of the other 2. So he's like maybe a half a year or like a year younger than I am. But yeah, funny note, he went to college before I did since I took 2 gap years, but then he dropped out.
Okay.
So
Interesting. See, I didn't know
yeah,
this.
but he plays football
Cute. I didn't know this.
and he's a ginger, so he has no soul.
Oh, I love it. Is he burn in the sun?
Yeah, he's got lots of freckles and he's very pale.
Because that whole trope, like redheads
His hair
burn
is
in
curly.
the sun.
Yeah.
I want to know, because you are the older sister, I want to know what is your relationship like with each of your brothers? And I know you already mentioned your stepbrother, so you don't have to go over that. But you do have 2 other brothers that you were in the house with, right? I'm trying to not say their names.
It's not really. It's complicated. My family's very like weirdly spread out. So I grew up with my brother Eddie, who is a year and a half younger than I am. So he's 19 right now. Then my brother Silas, he's only 11. So he's 10 years younger than I am. So I didn't really like grow up in the same house as him because my mom raised him and my grandmother raised me and my brother Eddie. And so yeah, so it's kind of different because like there's like a 10-year age gap, and so that's like a very different relationship that I have with him. And then my stepbrother, like I've known him since for like a decade, like more than a decade, because so it's oh god, yeah, because my little brother Silas just turned 11, And I think it was like a few years before that my mom and my stepdad got together. So I've known my stepbrother since then. And we never grew up in the same house because my stepbrother lives with his mom. We used to spend the summers together, and like I used to see him a lot more. But since like we've all gotten older, I don't see him as often. But when we do, we get along pretty well. I feel like out of all my siblings, like he and I have a better relationship just because like we're very civil and like mature. But like my brother Silas, who's like a decade younger than I am, he's obviously like got a lot of growing up to do, and he doesn't understand certain things. So there's obviously like certain things that I just can't have with him on a relationship level. But like I don't have a bad relationship with him. He's just very young is all. And then my brother Eddie, he and I don't really talk, so we don't really have much of a relationship.
Okay.
At all,
So
which is sad. But
Yeah, so you never felt
I won't get into the details.
right. No, that's fine. So you never felt that like instinct to like take care of them and like. 'Cause I know a lot of siblings kind of take on like the second parent type role.
Yeah, so when we were younger, my brother Eddie and I growing up before Silas was even born, I was very protective of him, but I don't know when it happened, but I think at like when we were like little kids, I was very protective of him, but we also fought a lot. It was like I'm the only one that could pick on him kind of thing. It was weird. It was weird. But like when we got into like what I think it was like 4th or 5th, 6th grade, like that, junior like middle school ages is like when we kind of grew apart because he started getting his own friends and we weren't in the same like area anymore because like we actually moved schools in 4th grade, like when I was in 4th grade. So he would have been in like 2nd grade at the time. So we moved schools, and in our first school that we went to before we moved, we both got bullied a lot. So we stuck by like each other's sides a lot more, and we were both dealing with the fact that our parents were at as well. But then like when we got into middle school, we moved schools, and he started getting his own friends, and like I had like a single friend, but like all my friends are very toxic. So like I started dealing with I was still dealing with like getting bullied a lot, and like also just dealing with a lot of like emotional crap, like as far as like like family and like friends and like myself goes. Like I didn't really know anything at that age. So and then my grandmother also favored my brother a lot. Like she very much like she babied him, and like she's very traditional in the sense that there was that as well, I think, which also kind of drew a wedge between me and my brother. But like in the beginning, I felt like I was very protective of him because like whenever we had an issue with like our mom or our dad, like I was always very defensive of him and like very protective. And I got so angry like whenever like that he got dragged into something. Because like when my mom used to drink, she would get like very aggressive, and I would always like protect him and stuff because like when we were younger, he actually had to get tubes in his ear because like he couldn't hear people when they were like speaking like at a certain volume to him. Like you had to speak really lowly, and like because he had like a weird ear infection thing, which I think was caused by my mom smoking. But like she would yell at him and he couldn't hear her. So like, and then she would get even more mad because he wouldn't respond. And so I had to like, I was like very protective of him about things like that as well, because like I would have to like make sure that like if she was calling for him that he like responded because he wouldn't hear her. And then with my brother Silas, when I was in high school stuff, I was very protective of him like when he was like still very young, like 5, 6. Even now I'm a little like I'm like not in his life as much as I would like to be because there's like such a distance between us, and like it's hard for me to stay in contact with him without being in contact with my family as well. But I feel like my brother Silas I've been very protective of because like he is so young. I feel like because we have such like a huge time span, like a decade difference in between our ages, it's hard for me to have like a good like solid relationship with him, but also I do still like feel protective of him in a sense. Like there are certain things that like I feel like I have to like not shelter him from, but like I don't feel like he deserves to go through certain things that like I've already experienced, and so I want to protect him from those things.
Right. Do you ever feel like some days you kind of, especially with your Eddie, the older one, do you think that there's some days where you're like, you know what, I just want to have a better relationship with him. Maybe I should send him a text or call him or whatever.
I mean, yeah. Like it's hard though because like I feel like I've tried to reach out to him before and like I don't really get a response. So like he doesn't have a phone right now and I don't have a Facebook. So Facebook is what he uses to like talk to people. I don't have a Facebook, and like I use my phone and he doesn't have his phone activated. So like I don't really talk to him on like through media.
Right.
And then like when I go home, like last time I was home, I tried to have a conversation with him and I just got one-worded answers. Christmas, I can't remember if it was for Christmas or his birthday, but like I gave him a gift and I was like, "Hey, if you ever need anything or want to talk about anything, like I'm here." It's like I know we don't talk a lot and we don't, but I'm here if you ever want to. He never did, so I don't know. Yeah, obviously like I wish that things were different, but also I don't know like if they could be or how that would work. But yeah, I don't know if that answered your question. But.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. So I mentioned my brother's older, and he is, how old is he? I mean, I'm 24, so he's 5 years older than me. So you do the math on that. But he'll be 30 years old next year, and I think it's crazy how much he and I have grown together. And like he and I are a little bit closer in age, so we were in the house at the same time. And then there was a point where he was gone, and it felt weird because I had to figure out how to like adjust to like being at home without him. We had gone to school together for 1 year, and that was in elementary school. But I think it's funny because when I was finishing middle school, he was graduating from high school. And then when I was graduating from high school, he was graduating from college. And so I think that's pretty funny because I remember when I was getting ready to go into high school, and I was asking my brother, I was like, what should I do? How do I handle going into high school? And he was telling me all this stuff. And I think he was telling me it to like make me nervous and scare me. He was like, you're going to get beat up every day, and girls are going to be shady, and you can't wear the same shirt every day. You have to have 2 weeks worth of clothes, and then you can start repeating stuff, that kind of thing.
Wait, what? I can't wear the same shirt every day?
Yeah,
what kind of
because
crap is this?
Right, because when you're in high school, you see the same people every day. And so you have...
Yeah, but I want to wear the same shirt every day.
Right, but you know how people in high school will clown you if you show up with the same stuff on.
Right,
and so,
I know.
He was telling me, he's like, and it was funny because I remember going into high school with that rule, and then I was like, that's stupid. And then, like, I wouldn't say I wore the same outfit, but it was, like, pretty much the same variation outfit. And everybody was like, bro, didn't you wear that yesterday? And I was like, oh, my God, how embarrassing. It was, like, the same sweater or something. But he was like, you have 2 weeks worth of clothes, and then you can start mixing and matching. So that way people won't notice, like, oh, yeah, you wore that the other day. And in college, you can wear the same thing every week, and no one will ever notice because, you might not have the same, you don't run into the same people every day. You know what I mean?
Or even if they notice, nobody cares.
Right, exactly. Or like Monday, you wear one outfit, and then Tuesday, you wear the same outfit, but you don't have those same people in your class because you're in a different class this day. So who cares? Because I know I did that all the time when I was in college. But anyway, my brother and I are extremely close, and we've always been close. I have this photo that is actually hanging up in my house. And my brother used to play baseball when he was really young, and he was really good at it too. So it's unfortunate that his baseball career never took off. But anyway, he was playing baseball, and like his hands behind his back, and he's like posing for the camera, and I'm like kind of out of frame, but you can still see me, and I have like the same pose. And my parents used to always tell me that I was always copying what my brother did. And I have, I mentioned earlier that I have my two cousins, and one of my cousins is born a year after him, and then the other one was born 2 years after that, or 3 years after that. And
yeah.
So I grew up with the three of them. They were older than me, and they started walking and talking before I did. And so in order for me to keep up with them, I had to get up and start walking. So I started walking at like a younger age, and I was copying my brother, and I was always starting to be like my brother. And when our mom died, we got even closer because we had to kind of hold each other up. And my brother already has like a sense like he's got, how some people are like, you can tell they're protective, just like you could just tell that they're protective. My brother is kind of a secret protector. You'll never know he's protective of you until something happens, and like he'll constantly defend you or whatever. And it's interesting because a lot of people are like, your brother never protects you, and then he'll kind of sneak up on you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So anyway, so he and I we have this motto where we say like it's us against the world. We're being funny obviously, but we have a really close relationship. And on my left arm and on his left arm, on the inside of our arm at the top, we both have our names tattooed. And so, he got it first, and then I got it a couple years later. And so, he and I have always been really close. And it didn't become a problem that I was copying my brother until I got to, like, late middle school, maybe early high school. And my cousin, the one I'm closest to, because she was living in Houston, my other one was in St. Louis. But I had said something to her, and it was kind of rude. Not kind of, it was extremely rude. And she was like, you know, you're acting so much like Chris. And I was like, what? How dare you? And she was like, no. And my brother is guilty of it too when we were kids because we were still dealing with like grieving our mom. So we were kind of like, his grief and my grief were coming out angry. And my grief
Right.
was only coming out angry because I was copying what he was. And so that's why it took me so long to grieve because I was
Right.
copying how he was grieving, which didn't help me. And so anyway, my brother's grieving came out as anger. We're obviously fine now. I say obviously, but who, you know, that's still questionable. But we're not as bad, obviously. Like, we're not as aggressive as we were when we were kids. But I had said something to my cousin, and she was like, you're acting just like Chris. And that's when it hit me. I was like, I don't want to be like that, especially once I saw the hurt in my cousin's face. And my cousin and I were closer in age. So, you know, at one point, her and I were in high school together, and people knew that we were cousins because we looked very much alike. And at one point, people thought she was my sister. And I just let them think that because who cares? But it didn't dawn on me that I was acting like my brother until she pointed it out, and I didn't like the way it made me feel, especially seeing her hurt. But also I realized that I didn't know who I was, and I was getting ready to go to high school, which is obviously a very important time in your life. And I was like, how am I supposed to go to high school thinking that I'm one kind of way and, you know, not being that? And so I think I think sometimes certain people, if you have siblings, you may experience this sort of identity crisis. And I think sometimes maybe sisters experience that because I'm trying to think of all the friends that I have, and some of them have sisters, but they're not really close to them. All of the friends that I have, all of them have brothers. Every last one of them has a brother, at least one. And and I think one friend I do know for a fact has an older sister, but her sister has like 6 kids, so she's not really talking to her. But I think it's really funny because I think when you have a relationship with like a boy and a girl, you wouldn't think that there would be identity crisis because you guys are on 2 different sides of the coin. But when you're a lot closer to your sibling, you did kind of have that. And me and my brother never had sibling rivalries or anything like that. Like, I'm not competitive and neither is he, so we never tried to compete. And as far as like the whole favorite parent, your parents having like a favorite sibling, like, I think my dad likes my brother more than he likes me, but you know, that's that's just me. That's just me being insecure. I
Yeah.
think my dad likes us equally, to be fair. He and I have a lot closer relationship because like I'm constantly looking at my dad, but like, you know, there's no like sibling rivalry going on. But so yeah, anyway, I
Yeah.
was kind of doing that like identity crisis thing with my brother, and I think it's weird, I think, to go through that when, you know, you're growing up, and then also like you're doing it based off of like how a boy would do it. And I was handling things how a boy would do. I was dressing the way a boy would do. I was acting the way a boy would do because I was being raised by my dad and my brother at the same time. And my brother's friends,
That's
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, okay. And I was going to say my brother's friends were also very close to my brother, and they were always at our house. And in turn, some of them have become my brothers. Like, my brother has friends now that I have known. Like, for example, we have this one who my brother met. I met them when I was like, my mom was still alive, so I had to have been like 4 or 5 when I met him. So his name is Charles, and he and I are like, we're siblings. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't hang out all the time. Like, he and I's relationship isn't the relationship that I have with Chris, but when I'm out in public and I have the 2 of them together, I'm saying these are my brothers because I've known him my whole life. But other than that, my brother has friends that he's been friends with since middle school or high school or whatever that are my brothers because I've been around them so long. And so because of that, I was kind of, I wouldn't say conditioned to think in the way of man, but I was very much influenced by it. And there's this one time to wrap up my little statement because I have been talking for a minute, I was remember this one time I'd gone to Walmart with my aunt, and I was like in middle school, and I had on like baggy cargo shorts and like a baggy t-shirt, and like my hair was in a bun, and I'd ran into one of my friends. No, I had to have been in high school because I didn't meet her in middle school. But anyway, I ran into her, and she was like, bro, why are you dressed like that? And I was like, what do you mean? I'm at Walmart. Who dresses up to go to Walmart? And she's like, yeah, but you're dressing like a boy. And she's like, I know you don't dress like that because we go to school together. I know. And I didn't like the way it made me feel because I'm like, I'm not a boy, I'm a girl. And like that feminine energy was kind of come through, but I was trying to suppress it because I only knew boy stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's actually really interesting because I went through like a phase for a few years where I like deliberately dressed more boyish. I even cut my hair like super super short like a boy's for a while. And I feel like part of it was like an insecurity with myself. Like I was trying to like cover up by like wearing a lot of baggy clothes and like I don't know, like I guess I was just trying to like figure out who I was because I kind of agree like even though I wasn't like necessarily influenced by like an older sibling, like I had a huge identity crisis like like as I grew older, which is I think part of the reason why me and my brother grew apart. I also feel like the other part of that is because my grandmother favored him and then my mom favored me. And so like my brother was always like resentful of me and like of my mom for like making it so. And I feel like the reason isn't that my mom like necessarily favors me, but it's because like she can't really talk to my brother. She doesn't know how to. And so like it's easier for her to talk to me, I guess. And so like she kind of comes off that way. And I think also cuz she would always say, "Oh, well, your grandmother favors your brother." And I think my brother was also resentful of that because he didn't like that she would always point that out, and then like he felt like she was favoring me because she thought that. And like he probably doesn't feel that way, but like I felt that way for sure because my grandmother was a lot easier on him than she ever was on me. But I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily like a favoritism thing. It's just that she expresses different things based on like the fact that he's a boy and I'm a girl. I'm not really sure, but regardless, yeah, no, it was kind of weird. I don't know if that has anything to do with like being a sibling or if if that's just something that everybody goes through. I don't really know because like I went through the whole phase where I was like very boyish, but maybe that just has to do with like having brothers in general.
I think so too.
I don't know.
And I think so too because it's
I don't know.
yeah, I mean I think it helps. I mean not helps, but I think it happens when you're a sibling because or when you have brothers because that's just what you're used to. And I know
Yeah.
and you're this is gonna sound bad, but like this is not the way I intended. But you tend to like mold into the people that you're around. Like you tend to base your attitude off the people that you're around. Eventually,
Yeah, especially when you don't know who you are.
Exactly. And so,
Like as a kid, you're very easily influenced.
right, exactly. And you want to go with what you think is cool. And so, for me, I was like, oh, my brother is cool. And even still today, I get jealous of him because now he like lives with his girlfriend and they have two cute little dogs. Well, they're not little, but they have two dogs and they're in a good spot in their life. And he's got his own. I mean, I have a car myself, but it's just everything just seems like it belongs to him. And I only have like one thing that belongs to me. You know what I mean? And so so I kind of I'm like, damn, I feel like I'm never going to get to that spot. But I think about some of the problems and the issues that my brother has faced in his life. And like, I mean, he's never been on like hard times, like never been in the streets, like homeless or anything, but just mentally going through things, which is just as bad. And so I think it's funny how I'm like, oh, I just want my brother's life. And then in turn, it's like, he probably wants what I have because he's probably seeing the stuff that I get from other people or whatever, thinking like, damn, her life is better than mine, that kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah.
What do you think is like one or two of like the biggest pros and one or two of the biggest cons of being like the youngest in your family?
So I think I'll start with the pros first, get that out the way. I think because I am the youngest up until we get to like my younger cousins, but they're like 18, right? So up until time I am still the youngest in my family technically, but I think some of the pros is like, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think not so much now, because my family is like, they're not going to be as nice to me, I guess, because I'm older and I should have my shit together. But growing up, for sure, definitely spoiled. You definitely get away with a lot more. I think when you're a younger sibling, you kind of get. And I almost wonder if I would have been treated the same way if I was a boy instead. I don't know if that changes anything, but I almost wonder because my dad couldn't really reprimand me the way that he reprimanded my brother, because it's like, he still gave me like the stern fist, and he never hit me, but you know what I mean? Like he still gave me like the stern talking to, but he never did the same things to my brother that he did to me, because there's a different way to handle boys and girls when it comes to like stuff like that. And I know people are sensitive these days talking about some boys and girls should be treated the same way. And I'm like, no, no, It doesn't work like that. But
No.
like you can teach
Yeah,
them.
because we carry our emotions differently.
Right. You can teach them the same thing because my dad taught both my brother and I how to change a tire, take out the trash, everything that you're supposed to know how to do for yourself. My dad taught both me and my brother. But he also taught my brother how
Right.
to like cater to feminine energy, just like he taught me how to cater to masculine energy. But there's just certain things that you have to do differently with both boy and girl. But anyway, so I think some of the
Right.
pros is like, I was spoiled. You kind of get away with things. I think people kind of cut you a little bit more slack because you're younger and you're kind of wet behind the ears, as they say. You're not really sure what's going on. So people are like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. At least that was this case in my family. And I mentioned this briefly in our parent episode, but like my family really babied me, especially after my mom died. And at the time it was nice because I was like, oh yeah, y'all are, kissing my ass basically. But now that I'm older, I'm like, God, I wish you guys didn't do that.
Yeah.
And I think some of the cons, I almost feel like I got left behind because everybody grew up a lot faster than I did. Because obviously they're older, so they're gonna
Okay.
hit that point period. They're gonna hit that point of their life faster than I am. So I kind of feel like I got left behind.
Right.
And I also feel like my brother never abandoned me, obviously, but I feel kind of, especially now that he has a girlfriend, I'm like, wow, you don't belong to me anymore. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if that's considered
Yeah.
a con, but it does kind of feel like that. And then it's kind of this thing of now, especially that we're older, people go, oh, well, your brother's doing this. How come you're not doing it? Versus when we were younger, it's like, why don't you be more like your sister? And now it's like you need to be more like your brother. So I think I don't know. I think it's weird. These are obviously just the cons for me. I'm sure other people have other pros and cons, but because you're the oldest,
Right.
I'm the younger one, but you're the older one. What are your pros and cons list?
Do I want to start with a pro or a con? So I feel like I'm going to start with the con, actually. So I feel like the biggest con for me was that I was always had to be like the role model, like the one, like, it's like, oh, like, there was a pressure for me to like live up to a certain standard and to like be the example and like be a role model for my younger siblings and to like do everything correctly, because if I didn't, like, what does that like translate to my younger siblings? And it was like a lot of pressure to like succeed as well. And like, because I am the oldest, it's like you have to, I don't know, like you have to like live up to a certain standard. And like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, it was just like really, I felt a lot of pressure, like a lot of responsibility that I didn't ask for. And like, so I felt like I was constantly trying to cater to like my family's needs, my siblings' needs, my parents' needs, to like the people at school. Like I had to cater to what they wanted out of me, but I never really catered to what I wanted because I didn't really know what I wanted, because like I was constantly being influenced by like this like pressure to be like the one that sets the example and to like be perfect. And like it was very, very difficult growing up like with that kind of expectation put on me. And like also like you said before, kind of like, do you feel protective of your younger siblings? Like the fact that I felt like not protective because I wanted to be, but because I had to be. And it's very hard to like put, like, I'm a child myself and I have to put the responsibility of somebody else who is also a child on myself while I'm trying to like grow up. And so I think it's very difficult for older siblings to be able to figure out who they are for themselves and like to grow up and to learn all the life lessons they need to, but then also be taking care of other people at the same time. And it's like, especially since my parents weren't around, I think it was like even more of a pressure to like be that. And I don't think that I succeeded in any way, shape, or form in doing so, but I still felt the pressure for sure, and it was very, very difficult.
Yeah.
I think that's like the biggest con of being like the eldest. I think like a pro is that like, I'm trying to think. I can't really think of a pro off the top of my head, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like, okay, so this is what somebody else said to me. I don't really know if this applies to me, but since this is what other people think of being like the eldest, is that because you are the first child, if you do make a mistake, it's like your parents are kind of like, they're trying harder with like their other children to like, they're like, oh, well, you're the first one, so it's okay if we mess you up. But
Right. I've heard that before.
so like you can kind of like, yeah, so it's like, well, we've kind of messed you up, but you're our first child, so it's okay. So like they're going to focus more on like your other siblings, I guess. But like I didn't really feel that per se, like personally. But I guess that was one pro that other people said. I don't know. I feel like a pro for me was that I was a bit I don't know. I think okay, so actually I'm gonna go with this other pro instead. I think on the flip side of like having that responsibility is that it taught me a lot about like accountability and like responsibility and like independence. And like obviously there are cons in that way, but like I think it was good for me to learn to work hard and to like be accountable for myself and to like be responsible for other people at a young age, because like even though it was very very difficult, like I think it really shaped a part of like who I was growing up, if that makes any sense. But
Right. Yeah.
that's kind of all I got.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, there are like a lot of different like facets when it comes to siblings. And I wish we kind of had like a third person. Like I wish we had Lauren on for this episode because she has both sisters
Yeah.
and brothers. So I would have been
And she's like the middle child.
yeah, which is even better. Maybe we could do a part 2.
Yeah, we should do a part
Maybe
2.
we could just do like well, I don't know if your brothers are going to be interested, but my brother would definitely hop on. You know,
Yeah.
that'd be pretty fun. But and my dad is a middle child too, funny enough, but he has 2 sisters, one older, one younger. So it'd be kind of interesting to see his take on things. But I want to
Yeah.
let's jump into, unless you have something else you want to add, but I want to jump into the articles that I had mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to go through, because we've been talking for a while. I want to jump into the 15 fascinating scientific facts. And some of these, and the other one is 16 interesting facts. So some of them might overlap. And the one, when we get to the 16 facts one, there's one that I think is super hilarious, and I think you're going to get a kick out of it. So anyway, so let's talk about,
Okay.
this is the fascinating scientific facts. And number 1, it says children spend more time with their siblings than friends, teachers, parents, or even alone. And according to this,
Yeah.
it says they're spending 33% of their free time with their siblings. And in the case of big families, they're spending up to 17 hours with one another, like a day
Damn.
or a week.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Number 2, it says siblings fight a lot, sometimes with a conflict every 10 minutes. Now, me and my brother never, ever fight. If we fight, we've, and I think in the 25 years or however old I am that I've known him, he and I have fought 3 times. And the fight has lasted maybe a day, and then that's it. He and I don't fight.
My brother and I used to fight all the time.
Yeah, we don't fight at all.
Like we physically fought each other a lot.
Right, no, I mean, me and my brother, like, when we were kids, like, we used to wrestle and shit, but, like, there's nothing, you know, every now and then he might say something, and I'm like, bro, okay, you need to shut up, and he's like, yo, chill. But we don't physically, like, argue all the time or fight with each other, like, ever.
No, we actually like fought. Like, and we would only like physically fight each other, not because we were wrestling, but because we were genuinely angry.
That's interesting. This says, I'm reading the little, like, subtext, it says that brothers and sisters between the ages of 3 and 7 engage in conflict 3.5 times an hour.
I can see that.
And then it says younger siblings fight even more, with a fight happening every 10 minutes. I wish that like my mom was still alive so I can ask her what my brother and I were like when we were kids, like if we argued often. I'm pretty sure it was like, oh, they won't let me play with my toys, but like I don't really count that because like everybody complains about that, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Number 3, it says 65% of mothers and 70% of fathers exhibit a preference for one sibling over another. We just talked about
Yep.
this. We just talked
see
about
that.
this. I think it's funny because like I think both my parents were like pretty even with both me and my brother. There wasn't like a favoritism thing. But you mentioned it and it triggered a memory for me. My grandmother, who's still alive, my mom's mother, she definitely favors my brother over me and my 2 cousins for sure. Like she loves the men in our family more. And so I think that's funny that you brought that up because you and I have talked about this like a long time ago, like when we first met. But I just remembered when you said it, I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, my grandmother is the same way. Like she wants to move out of Houston, but she won't because my brother is still here. So I think
That's
I
funny.
think it's pretty funny. Number 4, it says having a sibling of the opposite sex make boys and girls more likely to adhere to gender norms. So I think that's pretty.
Huh.
I think that's pretty.
That's actually interesting.
I feel like that's semi accurate because yeah, I don't know, because I mean we kind of talked about it a little, especially I know I kind of talked about it a little bit more. I was trying so hard to be the boy, And then once I got older, I was like, okay, let me be the girl. And I think it's interesting how there's certain things I'm like, oh, I need my brother for this. Just because it's just in my head.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting because I could see it, but like I wonder where like that fact comes from and like why that's the case.
Yeah, it says siblings can often try to mimic one another and follow in each other's footsteps. So that's what we just talked about. It says this is when a sibling makes a purposeful attempt to be different from one another and stake out on their own in family dynamics. It can come into play in strange ways with families who have one child of each sex. So I think that's pretty interesting. It says girls seeking out more traditionally feminine activities and friends, and boys keep playing rough and tumble traits. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. Number 5 says having a sibling of the opposite sex may help you pick dates more easily. I think I agree with that because
I have no experience with that.
especially because I am so close to my brother. And there are certain things that, like, I've heard him and his friends talk, or maybe just him. And most of the time he's just being funny, but there's certain things that I'm like, oh, hell no. If a guy, because we're closer in age, so whoever I meet is going to be roughly the same age, or if not a little bit younger or whatever. I'm thinking he's thinking the same way, so let me get up to the game. You know what I mean? So I think that's a good one.
Right. My brother and I both have intimacy issues.
Well, see?
So, like, he had a girlfriend for, like, 2 weeks in junior high, and that was the only girl I've ever seen or heard about him being with.
Right.
And he has, like, that's it. And then for me, like, I've only, like, dated very casually, and, like, that was recent. Very, very recent.
Right.
So.
All right. I think that's really good. Number 6, it says firstborns. So this is all you. Excuse me. Firstborns are generally smarter than the younger sibling, having on average a 3-point IQ advantage over their second sibling.
Haha, suckers!
I can definitely, like, I'm not stupid, obviously. But, like, my brother is actually extremely smart. Like, he's very, very, very smart. Like, math and sciences and all that stuff, like, he's extremely, extremely intelligent. I'm not even gonna front. He's very smart.
That's really funny because I was in all, like, honors classes through high school. My brother took all the basic courses that he could take.
I mean, like I said, I wasn't stupid.
And
So, I mean, like, I was getting my all A's and my advanced placements and my tier 3s and tier 4s, but, like, my brother's definitely a lot more capable. There was a show that came on, like, in the early 2000s, or maybe it was the late 90s, early 2000s, called Smart Guy. You ever heard of that show?
Mm-hmm.
No. Oh, okay. The show is called Smart Guy, and it was, do you know who Tia and Tamara Mowry are? The twins?
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay, well, anyway, their brother, they have a younger brother, and he was on the show when he was a kid. And we used to call my brother Smart Guy, because, you know, on the show, he was like a kid genius, basically. And so my brother was like that. We call him Smart Guy because of that show. Anyway, you don't get this, you never watch the show, so you don't get the reference. So that's dumb. Okay, let's keep going. It says number 7, younger siblings tend to be more extroverted than older siblings in large families.
That's interesting. So I feel like my brother, when we were younger, he was more extroverted. Like he made friends more easily than I did, but I can't attest to like the quality of his friends.
Right.
But like for example, like when I was in junior high and high school, my grandmother would always be like, your brother is so much better at making friends than you are, and you just have really bad friends, and like blah, blah, blah. Because I had a lot of really like toxic relationships, but like I think that's just girls, like when we're young.
Yeah, girls
like,
are trash.
Girls can be so toxic. And like I think guys can be as well, but like in a totally different way that's not as like catty.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, no, my brother just had such like an easier time making friends, but now that we're older, like he's become so reserved, and so I don't know if that's like exclusive to him. He's also a Capricorn, if that means anything to anybody.
Okay.
But
my brother's a Sagittarius.
yeah,
so
but like
he's rough.
2 of my brothers are Capricorns, so my brother Silas and my brother Eddie are both Capricorns, but Silas is he can be very shy as well, but like he's also like outgoing in other ways.
Right.
But like when he's with new people, he's very shy. But yeah, and then my stepbrother, I actually don't know. I think he was born in October, but I'm not entirely sure what his sign is. But
Interesting.
It's not that. So
well,
yeah.
I mean, I'm a lot worse at making friends now, but when I was younger, both me and my brother never had problems making friends. Like my brother is a very shy kid, even though he's outgoing at the same time. It's weird, but I
Yeah.
think it depends because like my brother is so shy. Like there's certain things that even now when he's almost 30 years old, there's certain things that he won't do because he's like I'm too shy to do it. So like he'll make Mia his girlfriend do it. So I don't. I think he and I are both pretty shy, but I guess I mean I don't want to say I'm more extroverted because I'm definitely not. But I guess I kind of agree with this point. I don't know.
I think I'm a little bit more extroverted now that I've gotten older.
Right? Yeah.
But I think maybe that just comes with like experience and maturity. I don't think it has much to do with like I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with that particular point, but
So number 8, in general, siblings interact significantly less with each other if not fully related. My brother and we are half siblings. Like we don't have the same dad. Like our dad, like the one that we share, he's my biological dad. So I mean, my dad was raising my brother since he was 3, so that's like all he knows. So I don't go around like introducing my brother as like my half sibling or anything like that. So like he and we talk to each other all the time because we were raised by the same parents. So I guess if you're raised by different parents, maybe this is where this fact
yeah,
comes in.
it was yeah, I definitely agree cuz like my youngest brother Silas was raised by my mom and my stepdad, whereas me and my brother were raised by my grandmother, and then my stepbrother was raised by his mom. So, yeah.
So anyway, let's go to number 9. It says your siblings' bad habits may rub off on you. Yeah, well, I mentioned this earlier in the early episodes. Like my brother was kind of an asshole when we were kids, and I
Yeah.
definitely rubbed off on me.
I think that I don't know. I think to an extent that's true. My brother kind of had like I don't know if I rubbed off on him or if he rubbed off on me, but like we both had anger issues. So, like, or maybe we just both
Right.
had anger
Yeah.
issues. I don't know. I could see that though, for sure.
Right. On the little sub like text for this point, it says, for instance, a girl with a teenage sister who becomes pregnant is 4 times to 6 times more likely to become a teen mom herself.
Oh, interesting.
That's that's pretty
Yeah.
funny. That's pretty funny. Number 10, it says a big part of individual personalities develop in relations to interactions with your siblings. It says kids learn skills in conflict resolution with siblings can carry over into other areas of their life. So this is funny. Number 11, it says siblings can make you shorter.
What?
It says having an older sibling can literally stunt your growth because by the time younger siblings arrive on the scene, there are simply fewer resources to go around. It says with less money, less time, and attention, younger siblings may come up short. That's
That's
funny.
hilarious.
Funny.
But my brother is taller than I am. He's almost 6 feet tall. So
You know what I was about to say? I'm imagining your brother to be like a skyscraper for some reason.
he is. He's like all the men in my family are very tall.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's really funny. I would love to see what your brother looks
Yeah.
like. I wonder if he looks anything like you or if he's like completely
I
different.
could probably find a picture of him somewhere. But
Because like certain people, like you and Lauren have both seen my brother, and so Lauren is like, I can see that that's your brother, and other people are like, you guys don't look
Yeah.
anything alike. I mean, we do have different dads, so like obviously that caters to like genetics, but I think there's similarities between he and I.
yeah.
Like, we have the same nose.
Yeah.
You get that nose
Dude,
from
my
our
younger
mom,
brother
but-
Silas, he's like an inch shorter than I am and he's only 11. He's fucking huge. Like he's so huge. I'm like, "What the hell?" Like he's like half my age and he's an inch shorter than I am.
Yeah, he looks like you too. Yeah, he looks just like you. Right. Like my best friend Alexis, shout out to Alexis if you're listening. She's got 2 older brothers and a younger brother. And all 4 of them look the exact same. So, like it's like you can tell which brother is the oldest and which one's the younger obviously, but like they all look the exact same. So it's pretty funny. But they all have the same parents, so that's
I think my brother Eddie when he was younger looks very similar to how my brother Silas looks now and when he was a little bit younger as well. Like I think them in their younger years look very similar, but now my brother's grown a bit older, like he's got like really shaggy curly hair and he has glasses and he just kind of like hunches over all the time. I think he looks really different than he would like I don't know, than he did before. But I think like they looked very, very similar when they were younger, so it was interesting.
Right. Yeah. So this next one kind of is interesting, and it's the same point that's on the next article. So it's not going to be as funny when you hear it, but it is going to be funny, I think. It says having more older brothers may impact your sexual preference.
For what?
It says it sounds strange, but having a few older brothers may make you will make you more likely to become gay.
All right.
It says, according to a new research, for every son a woman produces, the chance that her next son will be gay increases by 28 to 48%.
That's funny.
I don't know how accurate that is, but I'd be curious to see if someone has multiple brothers, if one of them is gay.
I mean, they say like how many out of every 10 guys is gay?
Well, I guess if you do that stat, but like, I wonder if that has anything to do with him being gay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you had like six, for example, if Alexis was a boy and there was four boys, because she has like 30 siblings. If she was like the fourth boy, I wonder if she was like, oh, I'm gay, if it's because she has brothers. And that's what she's used to, is the men. I'd be curious to talk to someone who has like multiple brothers and it's like, oh yeah, I'm gay.
I don't think they would say I'm gay because I have brothers.
It seems a little strange to me. I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm gay because I have brothers.
You're right. I guess that makes more sense. Can you imagine meeting someone and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm only gay because my brother." Is like, wait, what? That's funny. Okay, let's move on. That's a weird. I'd be curious to see though if that holds true though. It says the number of siblings. This is 13. The number of siblings you have, and your birth order can influence your health.
Okay.
It says younger siblings are less likely to develop allergies. So, I don't know. My brother and I are both pretty healthy, so I don't know about that.
Parents just throw the older ones into the wild and let them suffer.
They
just throw them to the wolves.
Exactly. So the last two, this says birth order does not affect personality.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. And the last one says siblings tend to resemble each other's looks and intelligence, but are quite different in personality.
That's
obviously
interesting, though. That like they're supposed to
right.
The fact that we're quite different in personality, you would imagine that siblings would have like more similar personalities, I guess. But the fact that they're very likely to not have similar personalities is interesting. But yeah.
Right. I love the trope that's like in like TV shows and movies and stuff. And we just got done rewatching the original, so this is gonna hold so true. But I love the trope in like the movies and stuff where you have like the older, sophisticated, well put together brother, and then you have the younger brother who's like a complete like maniac.
Right.
I love that trope.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
I mean, sometimes it's switched where you're like, oh, my older brother is just gross. But most of the time it's like, oh, my little sibling is like a shithead. And I love that trope so much.
It's kind of true.
I love that trope so much.
My youngest brother, Silas, is the biggest shithead of our family.
You know? I have another article, but some of this stuff is kind of repeats itself. But there is one that the one that it kind of got brought up in the other article. I should have read through these to make sure that they don't overlap, but most of them do. This is number 9 on the list. It says more siblings means less divorce.
Oh my god.
Right.
Wow.
And then the one that I mentioned earlier, and this is about men. It says men with older brothers are likely to prefer a partner of the same sex. So I think that's so crazy. This
really
stat must be a real thing because it's appearing in 2 different articles.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Huh. Yeah.
And so I'm so curious about that. And then it says siblings tend to bully each other, obviously.
Yes, obviously.
It says, oh, is this something you can agree to? Parental conflicts make sibling bonding stronger. Well, maybe not.
Maybe
you guys
not.
aren't very close, but
Maybe not. Yeah.
right. Well, this one agrees with me, and this very last one says a parent's death also reinforces a bond between siblings. So me and my brother both had that one unlocked.
Yeah.
I love how you're like, can't relate. Well, that's all I got for this episode. I think that there's obviously a lot that can be said about having a sibling, but I think because you and I both have brothers, our conversation is very one-sided. I'd be interested to talk to someone. Maybe we can get Lauren
Yeah.
on for a part 2
Yeah,
to talk
that'd be
about
interesting.
sisters.
Okay. Well, you got a quote?
I do have a quote. And I pulled this quote with like my relationship in mind, not realizing that you don't have the same relationship. So this quote is going to be a little sad for you. So I apologize.
Oh no, I'm gonna start
It's
crying.
not that, it's not that sad. And this quote is from an unknown. It's just unknown. But it says, "Because of you, I will always have a friend." And that's the quote.
Starts crying.
No, no. and
Just
And,
starts sobbing.
but I mean that's true though. I feel like, my brother's he's the best friend I ever had. I'm ever going to have.
Oh, that's so cheesy. Oh my gosh.